if we want to define the rest and motion of an object, of a car, of anything in our world, we should consider the reference frame and origin. So what is the reference frame? Reference frame is that arrangement with respect to which we can define the rest or motion state of any other object. So the reference frame is very important. We can take different type of reference frame. Let we are sitting on a ground, then we can take the ground as a reference frame. If a bus moves on the beside road of that ground, then we can take the road as a reference frame for that bus. As well as we can also take the ground as a reference frame for that bus. So we have a different variety of choices to take the reference frame to define the rest state or motion state of any object. Now, it is very important that the rest and motion are not absolute. They are not absolute. Never they are absolute. Because we are giving some example that at the morning we see the sun in the east, whereas throughout the day we see the sun moving from east to west and setting at the afternoon. So actually it is not true that sun is moving. Actually our earth is moving from west to east, and that is why we see the sun moving from east to west. Simply a similar example we can take that when we are sitting on a field or beside the road, and on the road a bus is moving, so we see that the bus and its passengers are moving together. But the passengers, any of the passengers, see that his co-passengers are steady inside the bus. So with respect to the road frame or field frame, any observer sitting there or standing there sees that the bus and its passengers moving together. So with respect to that observer, the bus and its passengers are in motion. But one passenger inside the bus sees that his co-passengers are at rest state. So here the contradiction occurs that with respect to one frame, a system is seen to be at rest, whereas with respect to the other frame, the same object is seen to be in motion. So that is why we can say that the rest and motion are not absolute. The rest and motion are always relative. The rest and motion are always relative. We have explained with simple examples. And the origin is that point, that arbitrary point from which we can state the position and the starting point and the velocity. That is, the origin can be taken as the starting point. We can take it anywhere we can take it. There is no boundness, there is no constraintness that it can be taken at a particular point. That is not any mandatory rules for taking the origin. We can take any origin, any point as origin. Now we are discussing about the different types of motion. The different types of motion are translational motion, the rotational motion, and the mixed one. So what is the translational motion? It is that type of motion where the position to position, the particle to the same particle to same particle, we can take a distance in different positions, we can take different straight lines at different positions, and then these straight lines will be parallel. It may be straight line or maybe curve. When it is the lines are straight line, then we can take it the rectilinear translational motion. A bus moving on a straight road in a straight direction gives the rectilinear translational motion. And a merry-go-round, for a merry-go-round, the lines of particle to particle, position 1 to position 2, are parallel in such kind. This type of motion of the merry-go-round is called the curvilinear translational motion. So the translational motion may be of two types, rectilinear or curvilinear. And now for the rotational motion, there is a fixed axis or a fixed point with respect to which the body rotates, with respect to which the object rotates. And if that axis is the axis of symmetry of that body, now we are explaining the axis of symmetry, we are taking a such type of object. Let this is an object and this is the axis of symmetry with respect to which the two sides are equal. Let us take a letter O. So this is the axis of symmetry, this is the axis of symmetry, this is also the axis of symmetry, whatever may be this type of axis of symmetry. So if with respect to any axis it rotates, the motion will be called the spin motion. And if the rotational motion of the spin motion takes place over a circular track, then the motion will be circular motion. So in case of the circular motion, rotational motion and spin motion, there will be a rotation with respect to a fixed point or with respect to a fixed axis. If the axis is the axis of symmetry, then it will be called a spin motion. And if in that rotational motion the body traverses over a circular track, then it is called a circular motion. And all such kinds of motion, any 2-3 types can be mixed, will give the mixed type of motion. When a wheel of a car proceeds on the road, it rotates and proceeds rectilinearly in translational motion. So here as well as the rotation and translational motion both take place. So that is why it is the motion of mixed type of motion.